My name is Alicia Williams, and I'm Vice President and Department Head of Community Development and Policy Studies, also known as CDPS, here at the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. And I'd like to welcome you to the bank and to the Midwest Regional Meeting of What Works for Investing in America's Communities. We are very much looking forward to hearing from you and engaging you in this conversation. The organizing of this meeting has been a true collaboration, and I'd like to acknowledge some of our partners in this effort. My counterpart at the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, Scott Turner, you'll be hearing from him next. He's, right here up front. Okay. Also from San Francisco, our community development colleagues, David Arison, which is right here. Actually, he was here with us last week, too. I think he's going to jump ship and come to Chicago. He likes our facilities. Also, he's one of the editors of the book. Ian Galloway, I think there he is, back in the back. And Ellen Seidman. Everybody knows Ellen. I mean, she's like a legend. Nancy Andrews, she's right here up front, and she's also an editor of the book and CEO of the Low Income Investment Fund. Our local partners, the MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Financial Services Innovation, whose CEO, Jennifer Tescher, contributed a chapter to the book. I saw her here. I know she's way over there. Okay, I think you were supposed to be over here at the preserve table. That's all right, that's fine. And last but not least, the people involved from my team, Susan Longworth, she's in the back. Marva Williams is right there. Jerry Boyle, he's way over there. Mike Berry, who's right here up front, and our production team led by Mary Jo Canestra, and she's back in the back there. So we have a very full agenda, and it reads like a who's who of community development. You have everyone's biography in your program book, so that should be on top of your of the book itself. And also, if you're at a table where you don't have a book, then you could move to one of the tables that has the book, because once we run out, we sort of run out, and then the San Francisco Fed can send you a copy if you'd like one. I'd also like to extend a particular welcome to Terry Mazzini. He's right here up front. He's a director of this Federal Reserve Bank and CEO of the Chicago Community Trust. So he was here with us also last week, helping us with these really large-scale events that are very important for us to conduct. Later today, you'll hear from Tony Preckwinkle, president of the Cook County Board, who will provide a luncheon keynote. And she will be introduced by First Vice President and Chief Operating Officer Gordon Workema. He also was at San Francisco at one point. So as you'll hear from Scott, this event is motivated by a collection of essays entitled Investing in What Works for America's Communities. You each have a copy at your place. Our intention with this Midwest meeting, the first of its kind, is to highlight programs, interventions, innovations from around the Federal Reserve's 7th District, which includes all of Iowa and parts of Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan, that are having significant impacts in their communities or are addressing a particularly intractable issue. The landscape for our field has shifted dramatically over the last decades, and we're at a crossroad. No one knows better than all of you. In our district, we were and remain burdened by high levels of foreclosures. Many of our states and municipalities face serious financial issues. These are just two examples of the interplay between the increased demand and reduced resources that have faced many of our community development organizations. Suffice it to say, the Great Recession undid a lot of progress in community development and marginalized or bankrupt many smaller community-based organizations. So, as much as today is about celebrating our success in promoting access to capital and financial services, fostering opportunities for entrepreneurship, home ownership, employment, and comprehensive community development, just to name a few. We will also hear about some of the challenges even the most successful institutions and programs have faced, and steps they have taken to improve their sustainability and resiliency. I imagine the core conclusions of the book, which underscore the importance of what we are calling transdisciplinary collaboration, efficiency and impact through scale without sacrificing engagement, and evidence and data collection for measurement, but also learning, will emerge in today's discussions. In CDPS, our work is squarely at the intersection of people and place. Because CDPS' mission is to help banks fulfill their obligations under the Community Reinvestment Act, we direct our research and programs to places with weak local economies and limited access to financial services and credit, among other attributes. We devote much of our energy to understanding how the individual experiences of residents, businesses, local institutions manifest themselves collectively at the community level. Last week, we hosted a Healthy Communities Summit to explore the relationship between community development and public health. In my opinion, the future of this intrinsic relationship hinges on the ability to balance the individual and the collective. I will be listening for threads of that from our discussions that we hold today. Thank you again for being here. We look forward to your active participation. Now it's my pleasure to turn the podium over to my colleague and partner in this endeavor, Scott Turner. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alicia, and good morning, Chicago. It really is a pleasure to be here, and it's really exciting to see the turnout. This event was way oversubscribed, and Alicia was able to push everyone else out of the bank and open up the whole room for us. So we're hugely grateful to Alicia for hosting us, and more importantly, for really providing leadership and helping us to craft an event that draws out the important themes of the book, but does so in the context of this region here. Now, as Alicia said, this is the second event we've done with her. We're actually joined at the hip with her group because we're actually doing 4 events over the next year with Alicia. And one I'll specifically call out is at the end of March next year, we're bringing the National Interagency Community Reinvestment Conference here to Chicago. So mark your calendars. We think it's going to be the biggest and best of that biennial conference. And again, it's so great to be working with Alicia on all of this. So I also want to thank everyone in her group, Mike and Jerry and Susan and Marva, for their incredible attention to detail and for their support on the whole conference. I also want to offer my own thanks to the 2 local organizations that helped put this together, the MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Financial Services Innovation. We really appreciate that. Now, as Alicia said, I'm going to just talk briefly about the book itself and then talk about the goals for today. So the book, Investing in What Works for America's Communities, Essays on People, Place, and Purpose. It was a joint effort, as Alicia said, between the San Francisco Fed and the Low Income Investment Fund. It was co-edited by David Erickson and Nancy Andrews. So David directs the Center for Community Development Investments in my group, and David's taken this small little group and just turned it into a force for creativity and impact in the field, and I just couldn't be prouder. Nancy, in turn, is one of the most innovative CEOs in our entire field. LIF has deployed $1 billion in capital in your history and touched 1 million people in lower-income communities, so talk about scale. So you'll hear from both of them extensively. Each are moderating a panel today, and then the 2 of them combined to form the closing panel. And as Alicia said, David and Nancy were joined by Ian Galloway on David's staff. We refer to him as David's rising star. And of course, Ellen Seidman, who got a round of applause. Ellen has been a visiting scholar off and on at our bank for the past 1.5 years and has just been an incredible mentor to our group, so we're really appreciative. And then I sometimes mention to people, if you want to cheat and you can't read the whole book right away, you can turn to Ellen's chapter on page 354, and she just did this. She did this brilliant job of synthesizing the 24 essays that came before. No disrespect to the authors of those essays, I see a few of them. But you can read her chapter and then David and Ian's chapter and Nancy's chapter, and that's sort of the Cliff Notes version. But definitely read the whole book. It's so rich. Anyway, what's so amazing to me is that these four people had the audacity to think they could take on in a single volume the entire past, present, and future of our field. But I'm happy to report, and I'm still in awe of the fact that they actually pulled it off. The book traces the evolution of poverty in America and the growth of the field that grew up in fits and starts around it to address the myriad problems of poverty. The book draws on just the most impressive range of over 40 authors from policy, from practice, and from academia, each of whom weigh in with the most innovative and freshest ideas on how to serve lower-income communities in America. And ultimately, the book maps out a plan for us to use to move forward and sort of opines a 21st century model for community development, one that is driven by data, one that is accountable, where you actually build incentives in so you can achieve your desired outcomes, one that is comprehensive but also collaborative, one that's really flexible, and finally, one that deploys capital in a way that you can achieve the desired scale. And we've been so excited to see how the book has been rolled out and then how the book has been used. So far, I guess the book's been out for 9 months or so. So far, we've had over a dozen events that have featured the book in one way or the other. We've distributed 12,000 hard copies. And if you need more, you can go to the book's website, which is whatworksforamerica.org. It's on the front cover of your brochure. I encourage everyone to go to the website if you haven't yet. 33,000 people have already visited that website. There's lots of video. There's a little toolkit for putting your own event together, and there's even a blog, so please go there and weigh in on the blog. And via social media, we've reached 1 million people with one way or the other about the book. And if you yourself are going to tweet here today, be sure and use the hashtag #WhatWorks so we can count you in, as well. But even beyond these numbers, it's just been so exciting to see how the book's being employed. It's already in classrooms at Berkeley, at Harvard, at MIT, and other universities. It formed the basis for a really groundbreaking speech by our own Fed Chairman Bernanke in April. It's being used in local planning. For example, the city of Los Angeles' recent consolidated plan for HUD references it several times. And organizations like NeighborWorks are using it in regional trainings around the country. And what we're really excited about today is this is really the advent of a local regional event where we bring together the local policymakers, the local practitioners, and dig through the book's conclusions and try and understand what the implications are of the book for local policy and practice. There was Alicia mentioned, this region has a lot of challenges, from the high foreclosure rates, deindustrialization, really severe economic and fiscal policy challenges among the regional and municipal governments. But at the same time, this region has some of the most innovative leaders and organizations in our entire field, a large number of which are on the agenda today. And we're just so excited to see how the book can really spark a conversation about new ideas here, new collaborations, new ways of operating in an environment that's just increasingly complicated and difficult to work in. So we just want to thank all of you for coming here today and being part of that conversation. We want to thank in particular the panelists and the presenters who have come here to share their wisdom up here on the stage with you as well. But with that, we want to go ahead and get started. So I want to invite Derek Douglas and the first panel to come up. As they're coming up, as Alicia said, be sure and consult the brochure for bios. I don't think we're going to do lengthy introductions. I will say that Derek is Vice President of Civic Engagement here at the University of Chicago. And most people probably know he was in the Domestic Policy Council in the Obama administration, where he led a number of really innovative initiatives in the urban and metropolitan policy area. With that, thanks for coming, and we really look forward to a productive day.